Right now,
Today we'll tackle tough times in California.
The economic troubles facing San Diego will be the focus of Mayor Jerry Sanders' annual State of the City
reports a 60% hike in rapes where either one or both people.
Will be a long process.
UCLA researchers tracked the progress of 50 sarcoma patients using
From the KPBS studios, this is San Diego Week.
Hello, I'm Joanne Ferry, and thanks for joining us. Another San Diego police officer faces sexual assault charges. DA Bonnie Dumanis is suing to overturn the former governor's decision to commute the sentence of a political crony's son. Final layoff notices went out to nearly 800 teachers in San Diego, and we'll find out the lengths to which some San Diegans are going to avoid high gas prices. And we'll see how an ancient Indian dance has become a life-changing experience for one San Diego girl. That's coming up on San Diego Week. But first, the headlines. Peggy Pico joins me from the KPBS News Center. Peggy, what can you tell me about the man who will replace outgoing SDSU President Stephen Weber?
Joanne, San Diego State University will have a new leader this fall. Elliot Hirschman replaces President Stephen Weber, who was at the university's helm for the past 15 years. Hirschman comes to San Diego from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, where he was senior vice president. Hirschman says his first priority is to learn as much as he can from his new colleagues and students. California plans to close up to a quarter of its 278 parks in an effort to narrow the state's budget deficit. On the closure list officials unveiled today were two in the San Diego area, Palomar Mountain State Park and the Salton Sea State Recreation Area. Governor Jerry Brown is set to reveal his revised plan on Monday to close a budget gap of about $15 billion. San Diego police officer Daniel Dana was arraigned today on charges that include rape, kidnapping, assault, and the threat of retaliation. The 26-year-old officer was fired after being arrested and jailed. A woman accused him of raping her in Presidio Park while he was on duty early Wednesday morning. Dana's arrest was the 10th case of officer misconduct in recent months, prompting Chief William Lansdowne to apologize publicly and announce steps to put an end to police transgressions.
And we'll have more on police officer misconduct later in the program. But first, early this year, on his last day in office, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger shortened the prison sentence for Esteban Nunez. Nunez pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter in connection with his role in the death of an SDSU student, Luis Santos. Nunez had been sentenced to 16 years in prison, but Schwarzenegger commuted the sentence to just 7 years. Nunez's father is former Assembly Speaker Fabian Nunez, also a friend of Schwarzenegger's. San Diego County District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis is now suing the office of the governor to try and reverse that commutation, and she joins me now. Thanks, Ms. Dumanis, for being here.
Thank you.
Tell me, what is the basis of your lawsuit?
The legal foundation is Marsy's Law. Marsy's Law was an initiative that was passed overwhelmingly by the voters of San Diego in 2008. It's a constitutional amendment. So the governor has the power to commute or to pardon, and that's a power that's been around for a long time. Marsy's Law is a relatively new law, but it's also a constitutional right, and it's competing with the right of the governor. So this is not about the power of the governor, but the process in which he exercised that power.
What is it in Marsy's Law that the governor, you allege, violated in this commutation? Marsy's
Law says victims have a right to be heard at every stage of the proceeding in a criminal justice matter. And in this case, before the commutation occurred, the victim's family was not given the opportunity to provide input on what the facts were in this case, as well as the district attorney didn't. In fact, it wasn't until it actually happened on the last minute by way of a press release did anyone find out that this was even being contemplated.
So you knew nothing about this?
I knew nothing about this. In fact, not only was what's unusual about this case is it's a plea agreement. So in other words, the parties, including the victim's family, we all came together and said that this is what was going to happen. He was going to plead guilty to the voluntary manslaughter for Luis Santos, but also there were 3 other boys involved that were injured, and Mr. Nunez stabbed 2 of those people. And almost, those were very serious injuries that they received. So he pled guilty to 2 of those as well, and the sentence was up to the court. And in court, the victim's family had a right to be heard, the defendant and the defendant's family had a right to be heard, and the prosecutor was heard. And the sentence was 16 years by the judge then.
So let's clarify now who you are suing. This is the office of the governor, isn't it?
That's right. It was under Governor Schwarzenegger's time, but because he's no longer the governor, we are suing Governor Brown in his official capacity as the now current governor.
And have you had any kind of response? I imagine it's too soon to know what the Attorney General is going to, how they're going to respond back.
Right. What happens now, we filed the lawsuit. Now we have to serve them. The Attorney General would be the attorney that would be representing the governor's office, as well as we've also included here the Secretary of the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, as we're required to, and the warden, who is at the prison where Mr. Nunez is located.
Now, this is a highly unusual move for your office to make. I think we're reporting that this may be the first lawsuit of its kind in the nation.
This is the first that we're aware of any lawsuit like this. And what makes it different is that the DA is suing on behalf of the victims and the victim's family. And it is actually authorized in Marcy's law. It says the prosecuting attorney can file, if requested, by the victim's family. And they have so requested.
So there have been some people who are speculating the timing of this lawsuit. This is months later. The governor has apologized. I want to read you a comment that's on our website after this story appeared. I'm sure you probably saw this comment. We know that you're running for mayor. We have somebody writing into us and says, it appears that Dumanis wants to appear tough on crime and championing the rights of crime victims, so there is political motive for Dumanis. What do you say to your critics who are saying, hey, are you kind of using this as sort of some, to sort of make political hay out of all of this?
Well, I think if you look at my record, I am well known as tough on crime and a victim advocate and supporter. Surely because I am running for mayor, everything I do is going to be viewed in that lens. But I think if you look at what we do in the district attorney's office, we make our decisions based on the right thing, on the facts, the evidence. We do the right thing at the right time. And politics does not interfere in what we do in any way.
Thank you, Ms. Dumanis, for being here. A rash of accusations against San Diego police officers this year have people wondering if it's a sad coincidence or a problem in the force. 10 SDPD officers have been accused of misconduct in recent months. The accusations range from excessive force to driving under the influence and sexual assault. Chief William Lansdowne is initiating some changes within the department to retrain and monitor the force. KPBS Metro reporter Katie Orr is here to tell us about the proposed changes. Thanks for being here, Katie.
Thanks, Joanne.
So I mentioned 10 officers accused of misconduct. Can you give us some details of the charges? What are they?
As you mentioned, these charges of misconduct range from drunk driving to sexual assault to domestic violence to excessive force. And not all of these cases have been brought to court. Some are just being investigated within the police force, but these all happened within a span of about 3 months. So it's a pretty, it just is very noticeable, and it's gotten the attention of a lot of the media, and it got attention obviously of the police force and the police chief, who says that he's going to change things to address these issues so that we don't keep seeing these cases.
Now, you've been reporting on this throughout the week, and I know you had a story earlier today on radio as well about underlying issues. Is there something that connects all of these events together? What did you learn?
Well, of course, everything is just speculation because these are different individuals. We don't know the details of their situations. However, the police chief said maybe it's stress. They have fewer officers in the police department now, fewer resources, the same amount of work. He says he's had officers that have lost their homes to foreclosures. But the cases have been going up. I spoke with someone at the Citizens Review Board. That's a civilian group that monitors police complaints. That group has seen, they project they'll get between 60 and 70 police misconduct complaints this year. And that is up from about 40 that they received in 2008. So that's a pretty big jump. But this isn't a problem that is localized to San Diego. I spoke with a man named Norm Stamper. He was with the San Diego Police Force for about 30 years. When he left, he was second in command. Then he went to chair he was chief of the Seattle Police Department. He says all departments across the nation are experiencing this: Philadelphia, New Orleans, Seattle. And what he believes is the problem is the lack of community policing. He says that police are not getting out of their cars now, not engaging with the community. And since 9/11, he says there has been what he calls the militarization of police forces, meaning that communities and police officers are at odds with each other. It's an us versus them mentality, not a working together mentality. That is obviously one person's opinion, but it might explain why so many forces are dealing with this issue. But again, he and the chief both say these might be possible explanations. They're certainly not excuses for this kind of behavior.
So let's talk a little bit about the chief. Chief Lansdowne held a press conference. He apologized, and he's laid out a plan. He says, I want to fix this. So tell us about the plan.
It is a 7-step plan, and the chief says it's actually been in the works since January because they saw signs of some of this happening, and these cases just sort of caught up with them faster than they had anticipated. But it does things like provide more training for supervisors to help them spot these cases before they get out of hand. It institutes wellness exams of police officers so they look at their psychological well-being. It starts a 24-hour tip line so that anyone with complaints can call, or concerns can call the police department anonymously, because he was saying sometimes people who know these officers might be concerned but don't want it to get back to them. This is an anonymous tip line they can call. They're looking at their use of force tactics. They're going over their training manuals in an effort to prevent these cases from spiraling even more out of control.
Katie Orr, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Teachers, parents, and students gathered at San Diego's Embarcadero today to protest education cuts. This as just part of a series of demonstrations this week as nearly 800 final layoff notices were sent to teachers in the San Diego Unified School District. KPBS education reporter Kyla Calvert joins me now to tell us more about the protests and the layoffs. Thanks, Kyla, for being here.
My pleasure.
So this is just one of a series of protests that was happening across the state. So tell us who's behind the protests and what they're demonstrating against.
So today, rallies in San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Bernardino were capping off rallies that were organized by the California Teachers Association this week all over the state. And what they are rallying for is an extension of tax increases, the vehicle license fees, sales tax increases that are set to expire this summer.
So that plays into Governor Jerry Brown's budget, right? So next week he releases, I believe it's called his May Revise?
Right. On Monday, Governor Jerry Brown's expected to release his sort of next proposal to balance the state's $15 billion shortfall that's remaining. And so what the California Teachers Association wants to see is a budget that includes those tax increases, an extension of those tax increases, instead of just cuts to close that $15 billion shortfall.
Okay, so now I mentioned layoff notices, that San Diego Unified is sending these layoff notices. Who's going to be affected by them?
This week, the Board of Education for San Diego Unified voted to send out the final layoff notices for 750 to 760 teachers, and as well as about 1,500 non-teaching staff in the district. So what those notices mean is that those employees may not have their contracts renewed for the coming school year.
Do we know how many teachers in all?
It's about 750 to 760. There are some part-time positions in there, so it's not exactly clear just how many individuals that is.
But in terms of
in the district
total, yeah,
overall,
in the district, yeah,
it's 6,600 about in the district.
So despite cuts or proposed cuts in years past, San Diego Unified has managed not to actually lay off teachers at the end of the day. Is that what we're going to see happen? Some last-minute save?
Well, who knows what's going to happen? And depending on what the governor's proposing on Monday, a lot of different things could happen, I think. But I know that in the past, they have averted teacher layoffs. But last year, for instance, non-teaching staff in the district did lose their jobs. So over the last couple of years, there have been positions cut, and eventually you get to the point where there's nobody left to cut except the teachers. So if that'll happen this year, you know, who can say what'll happen?
Finally, I just want to touch on one other proposal that's been floated out there by the board, and that comes to transportation. What is the board proposing to do?
The board decided this week to look at a plan to phase out non-mandatory student transportation over the next 2 school years. So right now they bus about this year they bused about 17,000 kids. They've already decided to cut that transportation for about 4,000 students, which is going to save them $8 million next year. And now this proposal that they'll look at would take the total number of students being bused down to around 6,000.
So you mentioned non-mandatory. So the federal government says you have to bus so many people. Who do they say that you have to bus?
There are certain special education students that the district has to provide transportation for, and then any children whose neighborhood school has been designated as failing under No Child Left Behind. Those families have to be given the option to enroll their children in a school that is not failing, and then the district has to provide the transportation to get those kids to those schools.
Great. Kyla Calvert, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Well, San Diego is a proving ground for new consumer models of electric cars. There are already more than 200 electric-only vehicles on the road here, and utility officials expect that number to increase to 2,000 by December. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson says the arrival of the gas-free cars couldn't have come at a better time, at least for some.
When Joe DeCamp pulls his $33,000 all-electric Nissan Leaf into his Carlsbad garage, he's basically pulling into a filling station. On the wall is a new electric vehicle charging unit, a distant cousin of the gas pump. The $1,200 unit delivers a 220-volt charge to the car's batteries.
Okay, so this is a 100% electric engine, very, very different from a traditional internal combustion engine. All electric, there's no transmission. There's basically a 80 kilowatt AC synchronous motor down there.
His wife still drives a gas-powered car, but DeCamp hasn't stopped at a gasoline filling station since his electric car was delivered several weeks ago. In fact, he grins when he drives by and sees the high prices.
I was spending $74 a week to fill my SUV up. Every single week. So that's $290 a month for just gas, just fuel.
DeCamp figures he's paying a bit more than $17 for the electricity to do the same amount of driving. He knows that because his computer connects wirelessly to the car.
You can track very detailed your usage. This is pulled up for one day, the 29th of April. I traveled 39 miles. That's a typical daily commute for me. 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour. Electrical consumption, 9.2 kilowatts, travel time about an hour.
The car has a trove of new technology, including a smartphone app that can control air conditioning, charging, and other functions remotely. The Leaf looks and drives like a gas-powered car, but it can't go as far. DeCamp's car has a range of about 80 miles. That's enough for his commute, but that's not enough for everyone. Joseph Gottlieb works at an Escondido company that makes batteries for all sorts of electric vehicles. He acknowledges that range anxiety is a major obstacle for some.
A lot of people believe in this country you can drive anywhere you want at any time. If I want to load in my car, I can drive to Vegas, I can drive from here to Florida. I've got that freedom. And so they feel that when you've got something that's going to limit your range, it's taking away some freedom of yours.
Changing expectations and better batteries are the solution. He says lithium batteries tucked under the passenger compartment allow the Leaf to look just like a regular car.
So running up underneath, all along to the back side of the car is where the lithium batteries reside in this vehicle.
And unlike the Nissan Leaf, the batteries in this older vehicle are sitting on top of the electric motor. They're golf cart batteries, and as you can see, there are several of them there, and also more right here. 24, in fact, and they weigh 2,400 pounds.
The Nissan Leaf wouldn't be possible without lithium battery technology.
Better batteries with longer driving ranges may convince even more consumers to buy electric. It's a prospect that both excites and worries San Diego Gas and Electric's Jim Avery.
Virtually every large automobile manufacturing has announced that they're coming out with an electric vehicle in the next several years.
200 electric-only cars are already in San Diego, and Avery expects 10 times as many to be on the road by the end of the year. That quick growth brings challenges.
In reality, every single car that comes in is about the equivalent of 3/4 of a new home. So we have to plan for the charging infrastructure just like we plan for the addition of a new home in our system. The infrastructure has to be there, and we have to have the energy to provide you to charge your car.
SDG&E is experimenting with very low power rates if drivers charge their cars between midnight and 5 a.m. That would put virtually no impact on the local power grid. But the stakes are high. If significant numbers of electric car owners tap into the electric grid during peak hours in the middle of the day, that could force SDG&E to pay for potentially billions of dollars in infrastructure upgrades.
That was KPBS's Eric Anderson reporting. Well, for a 12-year-old San Diego girl, learning an ancient Indian dance has been a life-changing experience. KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg tells us more about how this special dance has become therapy for the young girl.
In a small studio in Mira Mesa, a new generation is learning a dance form that goes back thousands of years. It's called Bharatnatyam. It originated in southern India. It's the oldest of all Indian classical dance styles. Bharatnatyam involves a complex combination of precise foot movements, head and eye movements, and hand movements. It can take 7 years to learn all the moves and a lifetime to master them. 12-year-old Maria Persad is from Murrieta in southern Riverside County. She's hooked on it.
It's very fast, it hurts, it's tiring, but it's still fun. I like it because it's fun and it's something that I'm really good at.
Maria's father, Michael, says it all started when the family went on a trip to India.
We went on a tour of the Taj Mahal and stuff like that. So she came back very, very excited and very intrigued by the whole thing, the whole Indian thing. So, and we were lucky enough to be where in San Diego, where there is a strong Indian community.
After the trip, Maria jumped into Bharatnatyam. She's been studying it for about 1.5 years. The fact that Maria is alive and well is something of a miracle. One morning, when Maria was about 1.5 months old, she just wouldn't wake up, and she was hot to the touch. Her parents rushed her to the emergency room. Maria was diagnosed with an acute case of bacterial meningitis.
The doctors told us at that time that we were very lucky because had we waited even 15 minutes longer, we would have lost her.
Bacterial meningitis is an infection of the spinal fluid and the fluid that surrounds the brain. Maria recovered from it with apparently no ill effects until she hit the first grade.
And we noticed that she was having trouble reading. And from there on, it just kind of went into other areas of her learning where she was having difficulty, particularly with math and reading. She just was not doing well at all.
Maria was also having problems with balance and coordination. A pediatric neurologist discovered Maria had suffered some brain damage from her early bout with meningitis. That's how things stood until Maria discovered Bharatnatyam. Since then, her mom's noticed a big difference.
I think she's more outgoing, she's more self-confident, she's doing a lot better in her studies. Her math grade has improved tremendously, reading, everything.
Maria's dance teacher isn't surprised by her transformation.
To do this dance style, particularly this dance style, you have to have a solid concentration, solid body control, and solid mind control.
Patel says Bharatnatyam is a form of rhythmic yoga, filled with moves that are hard to execute. She says just learning the standard dancing position is a challenge.
That is very tough. That takes 1 year to get trained, like sitting in a diamond shape, and that kills you.
But that won't stop Maria. She can't wait until she gets to the next level of her training.
When you get to that higher level, you have to do like facial expressions, like more hand movements and like neck movements like this. It's what I love doing. Like you do it, and it's like a therapy. If I'm sad, I just do Bharatnatyam. It's like a therapy, and then it makes me feel better.
That was KPBS reporter Kenny Goldberg. And now here's Peggy Pico with an update on what KPBS is working on next week.
Thanks, Joanne. Beginning Monday, tune in for our in-depth Frontera series, The Drug War at Home. We'll examine how America's drug habit is fueling the violence in Mexico. That's Monday on Morning Edition.
Thanks, Peggy. All of the stories you saw tonight can be viewed on our website at kpbs.org/SDWeek. And now here's a look at your weekend weather forecast. Thanks for watching. Good night.